Do you remember that moment in time in your life when someone took an advantage of you? Well, my company solved this problem. So 3Fs are based on fear, fight, and freedom. Fear of losing the money, fear of losing competitive edge. We fight against the fraud. We fight against criminal activity, internal theft, external theft, and the freedom that you can conduct your business without any interruptions.
So joining me on the line today, I've got Mario Bekes from the Insight Intelligence Group. Welcome to the call, Mario.
Hey, thank you for having me, and good afternoon, good morning, or good evening to all your listeners and your clients who is tuning into this podcast.
It's a pleasure. Tell me, the Insight Intelligence Group, what is it all about?
Insight Intelligence Group is based around the three pillars, three Fs. And I'd like to remind everybody or ask, do you remember that moment in time in your life when someone took an advantage of you? Well, my company solved this problem. So 3Fs are based on fear, fight, and freedom. Fear of losing the money, fear of losing competitive edge. We fight against the fraud. We fight against criminal activity, internal theft, external theft, and the freedom that you can conduct your business without any interruptions. And Insight Intelligence Group, it's a premier provider in investigative intelligence solutions. And basically, we are investigating either your problems inside the organization or analyzing your competitors' market and helping you to gain competitive edge.
Yeah, and in a world that's over-communicated now with the internet and social media, it's probably even more significant than it ever was. How long have you been in this industry for?
I always say to people, be careful what you wish for. I started my career when I was 14 years old. I went to military school back in communist Yugoslavia, 18 years old, continuously, went in a war. And then I wished to be the spy. So, be careful what you wish for. In 96, I was being approached by the certain elements in Department of Defense, then transferred into Security Intelligence Services. Then, gravity was going towards the foreign intelligence, and I'm in the business over 30 years with my experience and knowledge and education. But Insight Intelligence is 13 years now on the market in Australia. 13 years.
So tell me a bit about what drives you. What made you decide you wanted to become a spy? And what keeps you going every single day? Other than being James Bond, which I think everyone wants to be, right?
Yeah, like I always say, the life on the movies is different from reality. Being in intelligence field, it's a very demanding job because you're living in a bubble where you're protecting your loved ones from external threats. You bring it with your work, and plus at work, you always be careful what you're doing and who is watching the watchers. After all, what drives me? Well, David, thank you for asking the question. I truly believe that the market deserves support, and my business is a supportive role in it for the decision key makers. And how we achieve this, we're providing key informations by analyzing competitors, the market, media, and everything else. So decision key makers can make a good decision as well. Everybody of us, you, me, we all need to hire the people. So basically small and medium businesses will hire the people either through some avenues, person to person, through the recruitment agency. So we are assisting them by doing the due diligence that the candidates really standing what they say they are. And this is a variety of tools we are applying to confirm this one. And particularly when it comes to small and medium businesses, it is great to have the coaches like yourself, David, but we as well, providing those human-to-human intelligence interactions, educational tools, which basically we coaching the businesses how to gather informations with less intrusion. So that's the reason why we are doing this, what we're doing.
Understand. Because I think reality is, like I mentioned before, we're in an over-communicated world. You can pull your phone out of your pocket and you can find out anything about anybody. But the real problem is what's true and what's not true, what's useful, what's been put out there is just spam.
Absolutely. You said this very well, David. Information has a source and has a validity. Source is usually a person, the media, platforms and validity of information. You said this very well, and I'm glad you say that. Many people doesn't see that way. Information out we reading every day, it doesn't need to be truthful, because sometimes information is there to deceive us,
yes,
misinform us, or is a tool of disinformation. So yes, David, you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, because here we are, we're in the middle of this pandemic crisis, and now we hear news about Russia, and we hear news about, and people start to realize there's news and there's fake news, and we can't really tell the difference unless we know what we're looking for.
Yes.
And so in the small business world, it's more simple. It's, should I employ this guy? Yes or no? Do I trust this supplier? Yes or no? Do I think this customer will pay their bills? Yes or no? Now, they can plant seeds of false information on the internet, so I can Google them and say, oh, look at all these fake reviews. They sound like a great business to do.
That is correct. Again, I'm applauding you because you said this very well. The world is overcomplicated, oversaturated with information.
Yeah.
And pandemic actually created the world to looks like a flat. What that means, literally, but from point A to point B, we can reach each other by the internet cable.
Yes.
And people being exposed to the misinformation, disinformation, fraud, identity theft. And that's what you said, instead of we worrying about things we can control, who is our supplier, who is our logistical company bringing us goods, and who's the people we're dealing with. And that's where the people like yourself assisting the clients, to do decision making, and we're just supporting with the fact findings, applications.
Great. So I'm a small business owner. How do I know that I need your service, Mario? What's the trigger?
As soon as you have a doubt, there's one side you're gonna look. Every business must be insured, and by having these insurances, you're gonna experience at your workplace workers' compensation claims. Yes. You're gonna, internal theft, intellectual property theft. On the other side, we're assisting clients to the coaches like yourself to find the right candidates and to find the right market by analyzing either due diligence on a potential candidate, or to analyze the market and presenting this in a form that is easy, accessible for the brain. What I mean, overwriting, overanalyzing doesn't help, but rather than focusing on a problem solution and how to benefit from this analysis we're doing for the clients.
Yeah. So really just cleaning up the information and making it usable.
That's correct, David. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, well, which is really important, because I think time is something that's finite. And if I'm trying to do due diligence on a new candidate, as an example, I can look at their profile, but I don't know what's real, what's not real, and really how to analyze the nuances. And
that's correct, David. That's correct. And in today's world, like being isolated in Australia, it's a great position being island. But as well, sooner or later, we're going to start employing people from overseas. Yeah. And it's not every candidate from overseas, even from Australia, genuinely being loyal to the company. And that's, as you say, we assisting companies do due diligence and the background checks.
Understand. That's fantastic. Let me ask you a question, a strange question. Yeah. What do you consider to be your superpower?
My superpower, being the great businessman. Understanding my clients. I truly believe that's my superpower. Okay. As a businessman, and privately, I truly believe that my superpower is being the father of one great son.
Fantastic. Very good. So being a great businessman, what do you consider the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Myself, I heard this on the internet. I can't quote exactly source now, forget. It's 7 words. Do it. Just do it. Never stop doing things what you like, and it's never stop doing it. Yeah. 7 words, and just remember that's a great piece of advice. You say something very, very important, David, and as again I admire you for that one. Time is the most precious commodity in life. Don't wait. Don't wait. Just go for it.
Yeah. Sounds like Nike to me.
Yeah, look, that's not paid article. Sorry.
That's fine. I mean, I think one of my favorite reads this year has been Shoe Dog, the story of Nike. If you ever get a chance, I don't know if you've read that, but
no,
it's a fascinating story because there's so many sort of ups and downs in that journey for business. Most people don't realize. And a lot of it was really literally about trying things out and making mistakes.
Well, that's what makes you a great coach, David, because I need to say this, coach who is reading a lot and who is following, the trends and, comparing the historical data, that's a successful coach. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me ask you your favorite author.
Machiavelli, Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince. The Prince. That book has been written, 7 centuries ago, and it's the best deceiving tool ever. It has a great content, but this book has been subject of the many academic researches, and there's applications Niccolo Machiavelli inserted into that book is even applied today. Even they compare that Niccolo Machiavelli Prince is a favorite bad story for the big dictators, right? But it's not true. It's been applied 7 centuries ago. It's even today. So Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince.
The Prince, fantastic. Thank you. Just a last question for you. Advice to people in business right now. Like if you were talking to people in small business, what guidance would you be giving them? What advice would you be giving them?
Despite what obstacles you experience, despite what hurdles you have ahead of you, and the COVID situation, it just amplified these problems. I can just say one thing: whatever you do, don't stop. That's number one. And improvise and adjust your services, your products to the market. And most importantly, have the coach as a daily guest. You'll be great. No, this is, I said, it's not been scripted, but I said, like you said, some things very important during this interview, which struck me straight away. So when you're supporting your everything, where you're reading, you're researching, and so yes.
But Mario, really, like today's about you, and I think what you've demonstrated and what you've talked about is this whole notion of just do it, have a go, don't stop. There's a lot of relentless activity in there, and I think for a lot of people in business, they get thrown.
Yes.
Right? The economy has gone into turmoil. Inflation's about to kick in big time, and we get feared by media. Makes people scared. And I think for business people, they need to, first of all, lower the fear, and they need to actually work out what to do next. And I think part of it is trust. And so what you're talking about here, we've got a world of people that we communicate with globally now. We need to trust them. And part of it is, just keep going, okay? Because I think you learn to walk by falling over.
That's absolutely correct. I can say something for the end from my experience.
Yeah,
I didn't know how I gonna end one day. I believed I need to go forward, and everybody, all of us, we experience the problems in life. There's nobody who wakes up in the morning and says like, "Oh, my life is beautiful," and I just say no problems. We all have the problems, but you said this very well again, David. Everything around us is going to change the shape and form. Inflations and economy, the finances going left, right, center. But persistence is the key. Doesn't matter what we do in big recession, in 1929, people survived. Yeah, there was a lot of collateral damage, but that's like persistence is the key for success and being alive.
Yeah. Mario, it's been fantastic talking to you.
Thank you, David.
Very insightful. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.